Hello and welcome to BCC Virtual Racing. Tonight we join the Category C riders in the start pen for 6 2.8 kilometre laps of the La Guardia Loop with a 1.6 kilometre lead-in. The course is largely flat, but it does have some slopes of 4-5%, including a 4% climb to the finish. Without Blackham and Lisa racing tonight, Lance here could be one of the key riders to watch. 2 wins out of the past 2 races. He'll most certainly be going for 3. Davis will of course be trying to creep in under 4 watts per kilo. I'm sure he'll manage that with ease. Taff, one to watch, still creeping further up the table, and further back in the field I expect Stoneham to do well, and it will be interesting to see the competition between Morton and May tonight. Also great to see that Littlewood and Tamsin are on regular road bikes, and I've left the TT bikes at home. A great decision. 4 seconds to the start of what is going to be a fast and furious race. And the riders are off. First rider on course tonight, Tamsin, not quite as good a start as the rest of the group. Littlewood, May, Morton already 2 seconds ahead. She'll need to be careful here. Here we are with Littlewood, and the problem quite clear here. The starting group has gone off at a great pace and is stretched out into a long line, causing some issues for some of the riders already. May, Jones, I think Stoneham is probably in here as well. Yes, he is. Nixon as well. I wouldn't expect them all to stay together, but let's see what happens a little later on. If Morton can ride consistently, I expect him to provide some competition to Nixon as well, and also of course with the ongoing battle he has with May. So in this group, Jones, Littlewood, May, Nixon, Stoneham, Morton. I think Tamsin's dropped off just slightly, but is still there. We have seen a noticeable improvement in fitness from Stoneham. He can ride at just under 3 watts per kilo. I've seen him average 2.9 watts, and I expect him to do something similar tonight. Campbell further back in the field with the C's. This is a little unexpected. I hope he's okay. At 1.7 kilometres into the race, I expect he will come into his own a little bit further on once he's settled. 24 seconds further ahead up the field is Taff, who's just made a push to catch up with the A group that he was riding with. There he is. I'm not so sure that's a great strategy for him. A strong rider, fitness increasing, but I think he'd probably be better off sitting with the riders behind him, at least for the first half of this race. Back at the pointy end of the race with the Category A riders and Lancia, looking for a 3rd win, 3 out of 3, and surprisingly in this group, Shannon as well. It's not somewhere where I would normally see him, but nonetheless, all credit to him, and Jury as well. I don't really think these 2 riders are capable of holding on to this group for much longer. And here is Jury riding at some 50-60 watts above his FTP. Not sustainable, I would have thought, for too much longer, but this is going to be a short race, so it might be possible. In this group, Jones, May, Stoneham, Nixon and Campbell. 15 seconds further up the course is Taff. He has now dropped away from the leading A group as predicted, and now needs to decide whether to drop back and join the riders behind him, or he might just try and ride this in isolation. At 5 kilometres and 6.5 minutes into the race, just a quick look at the front with Lancia. Surprised to see Shannon is still in there as well, although he is drifting towards the back of the group. Jury looks a little bit more comfortable. I almost missed Davis, who is neatly hidden in the middle of this group, along with Lancia, Shannon and Jury, and I'm sure he will stay with this group until the end. Campbell, still with a group of C riders here, has caught up with Taff, or I suspect Taff has dropped back to join this group of riders, which is a good decision on his part. About 15 seconds further behind them, Jones, Morton and May have formed a small group with a couple of other riders. Almost a minute behind Morton is Littlewood, who is roughly 25 seconds ahead of Tamsin. I would expect Littlewood to be a little further up at this stage, but he does frequently seem to get stronger towards the end, and there is Tamsin riding by herself, unfortunately. but I wouldn't write her off just yet. I think she's got a great ability to push when she needs to. At 8.9 kilometers, and as predicted earlier, Jury has dropped away from the main A group by some 30 seconds. And he is now riding at a much more reasonable 230, 240, 250 watts, which is much more sustainable. With Shannon, and not more than half a kilometre later, he in fact drops off from the main A group. Both he and Jury now need to think about their strategy for the rest of this race, with roughly 8 kilometres remaining. This is a bit of a surprise. Taff is riding by himself. In fact, no, he's not. He seems to be just pushing hard from the front of this group. Not sure whether he's thinking about an attack or not, but I'd still advise, or think it's probably best he stays with this group of riders, at least just for now. Stoneham continuing to ride well, with Campbell just behind him, and now Jury is 1 minute ahead of them. May, Morton and Jones still together at 10.6 kilometres. In fact, no sooner had I said that and Jones drops off slightly by 6 seconds behind Morton and May. With Littlewood now at 9.7 kilometres, doesn't seem to be having a great race, and Tamsin is only 13 seconds behind him, and at this stage I would predict that she will catch him at some point. The leading group of BCC riders now whittled down to Lancia and Davis. It looks as if Taff and Campbell are beginning to push the pace slightly. It looks to me as if they're pulling away from Stoneham and Nixon just behind them. The battle between Morton and May is still ongoing. Great racing here. Jones is now 30 seconds further back, with roughly 3 kilometres to go. Shannon and Jury are coming together, but the chasing group of Campbell and Taff are closing down fast. Campbell's consistent pace seems to have worked well, and I suspect he has more energy left than either Jury or Shannon. Nixon has been isolated from the group he was riding with. I almost missed it, but here is the sprint for the finish. At 18.3, 18.4 kilometres, Lancia winding it up, Davis following him. Davis easing off slightly just to stay under 4 watts per kilo. Lancia takes a third win in a row, and Davis comes in second place, both for the club and the Bees overall. At 18 kilometres, a real mix of riders in this bunch coming up towards the finish. We have Taff, Campbell, Jury, Stoneham and Shannon. The sprint eventually comes down to Taff and Campbell, with Taff just edging ahead at this stage. No, I think Campbell's got it. No, I'm not sure. It's no, in fact it was Taff that crossed the line a fraction of a second ahead. Jury crosses 3 seconds further back, and a great result from Stoneham, 1 second further behind, with Shannon a further 6 seconds behind Stoneham. As the other riders cross the line, let's have a look at the final results for the evening. Lancia coming first, 3 wins in a row. Taff, Shannon and Jury all doing well, but I think they perhaps would have done somewhat better if they'd used a different strategy from the start. Standout rider tonight is Stoneham, in my view. Seems to be riding better and better and getting fitter and fitter in the May Morton competition. Morton wins on this occasion. Jones finishes in 29.41. Further back in the field at 18.1 kilometres, Tamsin and Littlewood end up riding the final few kilometres together, but it all comes down to the final sprint, with Littlewood just edging ahead for the win. That's all the racing for tonight. Thank you for watching. Next race is on Monday night.